Bonjour, everybody. Hi, this is Neshi Locatz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's first premiere show for one of our new shows. And I'm going to bring my co-host on so that she can be here when we start doing all the good stuff right away. My co-host is my good friend, my sister, Minnie Kansman. Hey, Minnie.
Hi, everybody.
Oh my gosh.
Hello.
Yeah, and we're going to welcoming you guys to Nature Adventures. This is our premiere show for brand spanking new. Oh my gosh. Minnie, I don't know about you, but I have been looking forward to this night for quite a long time. Probably since we started working on creating the stuff that we need for the show, like the banners and all of that. And it's exciting. Yeah. Before we actually launch into everything, I would like to ask our watchers, because we have a few in the house. We have one of our other sisters, Sharon Rosenblum. Good. Thanks for being with us, Sharon. And Elise Miller is here too. Hello, Elise. Rochelle is here. Thanks for being with us, Rochelle. And of course, Rob Kendall's here too. Hi, Rob. And look who else is in the house. Your sister, Ann, is here.
My sister, Annie. Hi, Ann.
And one of our good friends, Amy Daniels, is in the house too. Thank you for being with us. Say, listen, what I'd like to do is ask our audience if you would do us a favor, because this is a brand new show, and we need all the help we can get to get the word out about it. If you wouldn't mind liking the broadcast, the show, and sharing it, whether you share it to your timeline or if you have, a particular friend that you think that would be interested in the show, to share it to them directly. We would appreciate it. Or, even a group, if you have somebody like that in mind. And I'm going to do the same thing because I got my phone. And
me too.
it's whoops. Got to go to the right page. Nature Adventures. Make sure my sound's down so we don't get all squelchy. There we are. And I'm going to like it to my timeline.
Yep, I'm sharing it to my Eco Balance page. Yep.
Yeah. So there we go. We're going to post it to my timeline. And then I'm going to post it to our main fan page at Star Nations. And I'm going to write a post here. Please join us for this new show. And hey, look at that. I'm spelling well too.
That's the hardest part about it too.
That's the hardest part for me when I do this. Is the spelling piece. And then, and thank you everybody for helping us do this. It's one of the things that we learned about Facebook along the way. And that is when we share and like and comment. Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Turn down the sound.
It's okay. It's just my phone.
Okay.
It's my phone.
So when we do that, it helps people to find us, for number one. But, I kind of think of it like, because we're all light workers here in this community. And I feel like it's kind of like our community service, to be able to share the shows with everybody. And so we appreciate it a lot. Thank you. So, Minnie, I was wondering, before we get started on St. Francis and all those really cool pictures you've got, if you wouldn't mind sharing about yourself to our audience, for those people who may be joining us that they don't really know us yet, they're brand new to Star Nations, and that way they get to know us a little bit better. Would you mind doing that?
Oh, sure. Well, I wear many hats, I always say. I'm trained as a feng shui practitioner and teacher, and I also do space clearings. But one of my big passions is I do feng shui in the garden, but one of my big passions is just being in nature, with nature, and gardening and hiking mountains. I am a certified forest therapy guide, so I get to do that when I work, which is wonderful. And for me, show helps me to sink into that life's path even more of nature and all the ways that we can explore how nature supports us. And in forest therapy, I always say nature wants to give you her medicine. There's always a gift that nature, but we have to take the time to go out and be with her and experience her and slow down and receive those gifts. So that's my mission for the second half of my life. I'm almost 60. In the second half of my life here, I'm going to be 120, is really about that nature connection. But all the pieces that you bring to the table from your past experience, the feng shui, which is all about tuning into space and space clearing, and writing. I also write a lot about nature. I wrote a book called Missing Nana, which was about a child learning how to find solace in her grief of losing her grandmother, her Nana. And I also have written a book called Spirit Gardens, Rekindling Our Nature Connection, which is all about what we're going to talk about too. So it's all brought me tonight to this show. Thank you.
Thank you, Minnie. I appreciate that. And a little bit about myself. Actually, I am the CEO, I guess is the best title for that. Actually, I'm going to find my own. I just haven't slowed down long enough to actually figure out what to do with that. The CEO of Star Nations Organization, LLC. And so under all of that comes the radio network, which is the Facebook live stream shows now, and Star Nations Magazine, and Star Nations Academy, and also Star Nations Publishing. And we actually helped Minnie publish her book, Missing Nana. And we also helped Julie Hedges publish her book, The Tarot Journey. And we're working right now with Ortrun Franklin to have her first book with us published. And we're working with another publisher, another author for next spring-ish on her first book. And so it keeps me quite busy and with all of that. And we also teaching. I hadn't been teaching for a while because I'm taking care of my mom, and she turned 99 this year. And so we did a little bit of a change up and started teaching again. Yeah. And so I'm also doing that. I'm a drum maker and a drum teacher. Some of the other things that I like to do is, some of you don't know this, I'm a juggler. I've actually picked that up again. It helps release stress. But I also teach a lot of other different things too, like meditation and, awakening the illuminated heart stuff. Although I'm not actually a teacher for them anymore, I'm using the information that I learned from that in more of a way with indigenous stuff like drumming and that sort of thing. And so I'm very busy. I keep saying that. Hey, one of my students just popped in just to say hi on that. You heard the ding? That was one of the people who we reconnected over in Milwaukee. So so thank you for coming and joining us. And this is one of the very brand new things that has come up. Minnie has had some shifts in her life, and And one of those, and along with me, and so, and so one of the things that we had to decide is whether or not we wanted to continue doing a show together, and we do because we have so much fun doing it, and bringing all kinds of different kind of information to you. And so that's how Nature Adventures was born, because there's something that both Minnie and I really enjoy doing, and that is travel and going to different sacred sites, and not just here in the United States, but all over the world. And so those are the kinds of things that we'll be bringing to you. And Minnie has got this way of taking pictures, and so this is going to be a nice dovetail with her new column called Nature Adventures in the magazine. And so this is our first show, our premiere show, and we want to share with you some of the things that we know about. I'll call him an ascended master. He's a saint, Saint Francis, and many of you in the chat know Saint Francis. But this is going to be a little bit different because it's coming through the eyes and senses of Minnie. And so, Minnie, I'm gonna turn it back over to you. And if you want to help people, understand where we're going with Saint Francis.
Yeah. Well, this year I took 20 to Italy and Greece. And the way I research the itinerary for these trips is that I go online and look at images. So I'll just Google sacred sites of Italy, and I'll just Google images of those. And for me, this one image, which is the staircase image, Neshi, if you can put that up. I don't know how quickly you can get that. Put that up. But this stairway, this image showed up, and I didn't know where it was. I didn't know what it was. I just was so drawn to this kind of going within, and this moss and all this green and the shadows, and I had to figure out where it was. And as I was researching, I knew we were already going to the town of St. Francis. Had already been talking to me about going to that city in meditation. And I found out that this sacred go on pilgrimage to meditate in solitary in a cave. He would do a hermitage there. And it's about 2.5 hour drive from Assisi, so a good 2-3 day walk, maybe farther for him, from the town of Assisi where he lived to this mountain site. So it's on the Mount of Verna, and it was gifted to him by Count Orlando Canati. And I'm going to be writing a whole article about this for the Star Nations magazine for next month. But it was gifted to him in 1213, and he went there until his death in 1226. So he had a good 13-15 years of time at this place, and he would go and he would fast. He would sleep in a cave, and he would meditate and pray and just be. And he had a very profound experience there. The story has it he was praying to God to be shown what Jesus felt and lived while he was here. Feel Jesus's pain, and he wanted to feel Jesus. And so 2024, 2 years before, while he was meditating in that cave, a seraphim angel, a very high order of angel, came to him, and he received the stigmata, the marks in his hands, in his feet, and in his side. And he was actually bleeding in his side. And I have a robe's picture, Neshi.
The
Did I give you that one?
Which one?
The robes, the picture there.
The robes you didn't
I
give me?
have it. It's going to be okay. In the end, no. This is part of the grotto. So I'll just tell you about it. In one of the chapels in display robes that he was wearing when he received the stigmata, and there are blood marks and a whole left-hand side of his robe, and they have that on display. So for me, St. Francis, this was only in 1224. It's not that long ago. And St. Francis, until he was in his early 20s, was just went out partying and had fun with his friends. And he wasn't born this way. He devoted his life over the years and got closer and closer and closer to God. So for me, he's like this saint. He's showing that you can do it. You can to a saint in your lifetime. He showed that. For me, it was, I don't know, I could talk about Verna all day.
Well,
maybe another photo.
If while I find the photo, if you could explain to people what is a stigmata, because there's some who may not know what that is, and then which picture do you need up next?
Just the one of the sunlight or the caves is fine. The stigmata is just the marks that Jesus had at the crucifixion. So knowing Jesus's pain, he felt that pain as well. St. Francis was in great pain when the stigmata came. And so, Jesus on the cross was nailed to the cross, and then he had the spear in his side. So that's the stigmata is and researched it more. It's like feeling, he wanted to feel Jesus's pain, but he also felt Jesus's peace and serenity and joy as well. He wanted to feel that all. And they say he lived for 2 more years after the stigmata, and the marks in his hands became like skin, kind of very hard pan. Like you could see them like a callus, a raised callus, and the wound in his side never really healed. Might have been what he died from. I don't know.
Yeah.
He never really healed. It was bleeding it was always bandaged. So that was interesting. Mm-hmm. So this is a picture taken from that bottom of that sting up. So here we are with 27 people. Yes, I get them all, to this place. It was, and then we had to walk in because the bus couldn't go all the way to the parking lot at the top. So it wasn't far, and it was the most beautiful forest. And I read later it's called the fairy forest. So of course I was there, with the nature elementals too. Yeah. But we drove the chapels free time, and so with free time I'm hightailing it the stone staircase, and so a lot of people are going there too, and beautiful photos. And everyone's kind of done. They're going off to do something else. And I decided there's no place else I could do, spend my free time in any other way better than just being here and meditate. So I think I have a picture of me, Neshi, meditating or sitting on the ledge. I found a ledge kind of up and away, hoping I wasn't going to get in trouble by the nuns for being, off-road there, off the sidewalk. But I just tucked myself away and just sat there because I wanted to feel what St. Francis felt and why he was so drawn to this land. And it was so peaceful. It was, the birds were singing, the sun was just shining in different places, and the color greens, it reminded me a lot of Ireland, Neshi, with all the different shades of green in that one spot. But there was just a serenity there that I've never felt placed in nature, really.
Well, you can certainly see it.
And I just, in and I planted there. Like I felt like the roots I was stuck in the ground. I was rooted. And I had set my alarm because I knew if I didn't, I would never make it back to the bus on time. And when you're late, be back at the bus on time, you know. And so I set my alarm on my phone, you know, I had. And it was so hard to pull myself up and go back. It was so hard.
Well, you know,
I decided, you know,
I wanted to ask those that are in the audience if they've ever been to Mount Laverna in Italy.
Verna,
If not, have you ever been any place else like in the United States? Because there's lots of places that dedicate areas to St. Francis that are very nature oriented, right? And so I was just curious about those in the live chat. If you've ever been to either Mount Laverna or someplace here in the States dedicated to St. Francis, because that might, they'll understand that feeling that you had while you were sitting there and rooted, right? Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, that's fine. I'm just saying I decided at time that I would be coming back there because you can stay you can spend the night there and they have a restaurant, and I need to go back and spend at least a week, take, you know, a group of friends that just want to do that. It was the highlight of Italy for me, this place. And we were in some beautiful places, but
that was your highlight, your connection to St. Francis. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
am I sounding different?
Well, yeah.
I said something about
sounding a bit garbled. Yes. I think it's your internet connection. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm sure you don't have anything else open because you're not. This isn't your first rodeo. This isn't your first dance.
Well, I did have Facebook open, so.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and close.
Are you there?
Yep, we're here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. We'll see how that goes. The other thing that I can do is I can refresh our screen, and that may help. I can try that.
Okay.
Yeah. Should we? Should we try that? That way.
Why not?
Okay. All right.
Why not?
Okay, listeners and watchers. Yeah, I don't want to leave them hanging. I'm going to refresh my screen, which is in the studio. Okay, and so to help, maybe it might help Minnie's audio. And so we're going to disappear just for a second, and then we'll be right back. Okay, so it's not even long enough for you to go get a drink of water or anything. We'll be right back in a second. All right. See, it doesn't take that long, and we're back. Okay, let's see if that made any difference for Minnie's audio. Minnie?
Okay.
Yeah?
I'm here.
Okay, good. Well, you're not quite as pixelated.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, good.
Okay, can you hear me?
Good, we're good.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. All right.
Yep.
So with the question that I asked, we have a couple people who replied. Rochelle is saying, when I was in the convent, it was a Franciscan order. The grounds were beautiful. Wow. Now, see, Rochelle, I didn't know that you were in the convent. That's something. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, because yes, those convents are really gorgeous. You know, the grounds are so pretty. And Christine is saying, I walked a labyrinth several times at a Franciscan nun's location near me. It's one of my favorite places. Ah, okay. Excellent. So, they can identify, at least with the feeling that you had while you were there. And
Right.
I wanted to ask you a specific question about the cave itself. So you guys were actually in the same cave that St. Francis would go to, that he went to, like, was it for 40 days, was it?
No, we were not in the same cave. They had that gated off, like
Mhm.
you could see in, but you couldn't go back there because apparently people would know that he was laying on when he received. They just wanted to, that St. Francis was where he was. So they had to kind of protect it. They also built a chapel above it. It's called the Chapel of the Stigmata,
Uh-huh.
so they could get the energy beneath into the chapel above. So, we could look where he walked, but not back in.
Okay.
All the
All
way.
right.
So.
Well, the only reason why I asked that is because it's good for people to know that the chapel is above, so the energy is still, you can still feel it because you're above it, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I can just imagine, because this was in the 1200s, right? And so there's no power, there's no electricity, there's
Mm-hmm.
and so when you're in the cave, obviously it's going to be dark. And I have to tell you that there is, remember when I was teaching the illuminated heart classes, there is a piece of information there that comes from the Kogi Mamos, and they're from South America, and they actually, their holy people go into a cave for 9 days, dark, no water, no food. And they say that when they come out, that they're truly human, because they learned the silent language of the heart while they're in there. And so when you shared the information about St. Francis and the hermitage in the cave, I thought, wow, that is just so similar to the Kogi Mama.
Right. And he would do it for 40 days.
Yeah,
he would go in for 40 days.
Right.
Yeah, that was what he was doing when he received the stigmata. He was actually going in for another celebration, but something for them. He was preparing for a special holiday, and so
yeah. If I remember right, it had something to do with Saint Michael. When I was preparing for the show, and
I was thinking like
Michaelmas. Yeah, could be. I know it was about.
I don't know.
Yeah. So you have a picture here of a tree, and I am curious as I'll get out with this tree. Can I bring it up?
Yeah. I can't remember what I gave you.
You gave me quite a few. I mean, yeah.
I loved her. This was what I was actually, as I was sitting on that ledge, I was looking across at this tree.
Oh.
And it's like it's covered in vines, but it's almost mossy and furry, but it felt very almost in the wind. So, the whole layer of all the nature elementals was also happening for me at the same time. I wonder what St. Francis's relationship with the elementals was too, because he always talks about nature and animals, and that it's almost like he focused on them more than people in his lifetime.
Yes.
But it was always about in praise of God and God's creations, and look how amazing they are, and so that was just an amazing God creation, right in front of my eyes.
Right. He's the patron saint of animals, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there were so many creatures all around, and they say of like fox and deer and all of the woodland animals in Italy. They just congregate to this spot too.
Wow.
So yeah, I heard a lot of birds, a lot of
and one of my favorite, well, actually I have two of the prayers of St. Francis is the prayer of St. Francis about peace. That's my most favorite. But the second one is the canticle, I think that's how it's pronounced, of creation, but it's also known as the canticle of to the sun too. And the first time I read it, because it's all about nature. It's all about nature. And I was thinking, man, he was calling in the four directions and he was calling in all the animals, and it's like,
yeah.
So I really could connect to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was my kind of,
I can understand. Because I need to make sure I check the time because I want to make sure that we have enough time to cover all of the pictures that you have for us there. Yeah. So when you were with St. Francis, both at the Hermitage in the cave area at Verna, and at the there was a place, and I don't know if you want to share this or not. Yeah, your connection, your personal
at his tomb at the basilica.
Yeah,
yes. I was at his tomb in the basilica in the city. Is the St. Francis Basilica, and his tomb is beneath that. And what did you want me to?
If you wouldn't mind sharing a bit about your connection to him when you were at his tomb. I mean, you don't have to be, but I think it's important to share a piece of that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind. It was the most emotional moment of my trip. I didn't expect it. I had been meditating with St. Francis. The Italy portion of this trip, it was very much showing, where to take the group and what to connect with. But I walked down the steps to just go see. I was just going to walk down, walk around it, walk back up. And I got down there and, I am not Catholic. I am not a big kneeler person or anything, but I heard strongly, go kneel in front of that tomb right now. I did. And there were like kind of metal ironwork in front of it, and I was just hanging on to the ironwork, and I could see inside his tomb, and I just started crying. And it was just tears of gratefulness for feeling that connection with him. It was, when you cry because you're so in love, you're feeling so much love that it's just exuding out of your body. It was that kind of crying. And my husband, Rain, went with me on this trip, and he went down there with me, and he's just standing there, just holding space for me. But, I didn't say, hey, I'm going to go spend some time with his tomb. I just and I was to those bars, and I was just crying and crying. Yeah. And he was telling me, you're at work, this nature connection and this forest therapy work that you're doing is perfect. Keep doing it. I want you to focus everything you do with that in mind, nature connection. Everything you do from now on, keep that front and center. You came here to do. And you're doing my work. Oh, God. I'm crying now.
Oh my God!
So it was powerful, and I was real wobbly. Again, as the group leader, it's hard to have your own personal experience while you're holding space for the group. But I just had to have that time, and it came
Yes.
up, and my friend Kat looked at me and said, "What happened to you?" She was just, I was still there in that feeling.
Uh-huh.
I think I was still there the next day in that meditation. I mean, you can kind of see it on my face how I felt, what you
Mm-hmm.
can see. So,
Yeah.
Assisi, the town of Assisi too. Yeah, lots of good energy there.
And thank you for sharing that,
Ah,
because I think for people to understand what St. Francis brought to the group and to you personally, and the connection to nature. And it wasn't until after that trip, that we made the decision to have a new show. And
right,
I remember you
right.
asking me, "Do you mind if we make it about nature?" Because and you told me the story, and I've said, "Of course, let's do
Uh-huh.
it." It's definitely,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
now, audience, you
Yeah.
have the backstory to how we got to the name of the show.
Nature adventures. Many more adventures like that.
Oh God, yes. And and the thing is that you and I also have adventures in nature from our past, the things that where we've gone together in the past, and the cool things that have always happened,
Exactly.
um, that experience we've had together out in nature. So, and I have to ask you another question, because I tell you what, I love these pictures, and I want to make sure we get through all of them, so that
Mm-hmm.
we have the time to share. So this is something near and dear to your heart. We're gonna give it a solo. Let everybody look
Oh,
at it.
this is
There-
my husband well, I call it my shaman shack. Rain calls it the shrieking shack, like from Hogwarts. But I call it the shaman shack, and it's in the middle of. I live on 5 acres of land, 5.5 acres, and 3.5 are woodland, and it's kind of in the middle of that woods. And it was just a shed that the previous owner, I asked him what it was, and he said it's just made. I had all this old barn wood that a friend didn't need, and I thought I'd make like a storage shed. And they stored lumber or something, I don't know, back there, but it was empty when we got it. It's still kind of red. You can see a little bit of the paint from the barn, a little bit, but
Yeah.
it's really weathered.
Uh-huh.
And I looked at it immediately and said, "Oh, this is mine. I claimed it. Rain, you can't have this. This is my shack." And I have a whole altar. I think I have a picture of an altar
Yeah, you do. But
for you. I have
while we're on this picture, could you explain the prayer flags that are up?
those are Tibetan prayer flags, and you just what I do is I hold the flags before I hang them, and I put my prayers into them. And then when you hang them, your prayers go out on the wind. And you leave them there until nature takes them down, or the squirrels, or whatever make a nest. The birds use them. But they're just a beautiful way to pray with
Mm-hmm.
nature.
Mm-hmm. And
And I love
do the colors
the
signify?
colors are of representations of the 5 elements. So there's a feng shui piece to them as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
All
so
right.
I hung them out the shaman shack. I put an altar in this inside and a chair. Now I have 2 chairs because I often bring a friend or
Mm-hmm.
a student, to the shack. I thought it needed a window, so I hung a mirror because in feng shui, when you need a window, you hang a mirror if you can't put a
Right.
window in.
Mm-hmm.
And I put an altar there, and I leave all of that there. I've had different altar cloths, and yeah, the mice and the squirrels come, and I share the altar cloth with them. They'll eat it up. I also, what's important to me is I have a jar there with a lid, and I will have sage and matches
Yeah.
in that jar, and they stay dry, and then I can smudge. So I smudge every time I'm in there, and I smudge myself, and I smudge the shack, because that keeps it sacred for me. It's a way to keep it sacred. And I meditate out there, and it's beautiful in the winter.
Yeah.
The view out is just exquisite. And so I sit in low chairs because it's not, you can't really stand full up in it because of the little beams in it. But it's just my way of having a special place out in nature that I can go and spend time in. And the sage also helps with the mosquitoes, this time of year. So it's a natural mosquito repellent. But I brought students here before. We've meditated here together. I'll just come if I'm having a rough day. I might just come out here and sit and think and do my prayers here. So,
yeah. Have you ever stayed overnight out there?
I have not.
Oh.
I have not, but I had a little mouse family that lived in it, I think the first year. And so we kind of shared it, and they would run their little toes across the rafters on the front, on the top, and I could just see their toes, and they were so cute. And I would talk to them, and I felt like Cinderella a little bit with her little mice buddies up there. And things that might freak some people out. I just loved it. I mean, yeah, it gets a bit of spider webs. I have a little out there that I'll use to kind of pull the spider webs down when they get a little much.
Yeah, and you probably have a couple of bats, I would think.
I haven't seen any bats because I'm always looking. But I see evidence of one time somebody brought something in there to eat and they left some pieces of it, So, other critters are using it too. Rosie, my dog, loves to go with me because it's got wonderful smells in it, and she we'll do sit spot too there. She'll just sit on my lap, and she loves it. So.
Okay, now you used a word some people, or a phrase some people might not be familiar with. Can you explain a sit spot?
Well, a sit spot is a force therapy word, and it's just finding a place that you love, that brings you pleasure, we say. A place that brings you pleasure, that you just sit still and you just are quiet and you listen with all of your senses and you just be with nature. You're in that communication, that connection with nature. There's my view from my seat. Yeah. I wanted to show you that. And when there's snow out there, it's really magical too.
Yeah.
And sometimes we've seen critters walk, like Rosie and I have seen skunks and deer and, different critters walking through because we're kind of in a blind, they can't see us in there. So it's a really fun observation place.
Yeah, I saw this one picture and I thought, you could go out there anytime. It doesn't matter the weather. You could go out there anytime because you got the roof over you and you got, the walls around you to block the wind. And the perfect place to be able to be out in nature and yet be a little protected, I like it. I remember the first time I saw the shaman shack. We were up there the year that you guys moved in, and we were actually there the weekend or the week. Yeah, you guys moved in during the week, and we were there like the following weekend or something like that. And hot. It was like 90 something degrees. It was
100. Yeah,
it was hot, and we went for a walk, and you were showing us this shed, and we were all wondering, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? And he said, I don't know. I might come out here and maybe meditate. And yeah, I think it's aptly named the Shaman Shed. Yes.
Right. Yeah, and I thought, at first I might put a floor in it and I said, I just heard, no, keep it just really simple. I'll sweep it out in the spring, because a lot of leaves will blow in there. But I really like it just being the forest floor still. It's very simple and easy, and it's just usually, the spider webs are what I just have to keep track of. So.
But here I am. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So, okay. What I was going to ask you is that
I can't hear you, Neshi, now, and I can't see you.
Uh-oh. Okay.
I can't hear you or see you. Oh.
All right. How's that?
Huh.
Hang on.
Can you hear me?
Hang on. I'm going to reload. Oops.
Hello. Hey, Neshi. I saw you for a second.
I don't know. Now can you hear me? Hello? Oh, crap. Rats. Rats. Okay. Oh, Christine, good. Thank you.
Here I am.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Christine, for
I'll send it
in there.
chat.
I took the picture down because I was trying to figure out what the heck happened. But I can bring it back. Just give me a second. All right. Okay. I will bring the picture back. I just have to get to it. I don't know what happened there. Don't know. All right. Let's hope for this works because you can still hear me, right?
There you go. I
Okay.
can still hear you. Yes.
Okay. And now you can see
Yes.
me. Good. All right. So the question I had was after your experience at Mount Laverna, at St. Francis's Cave, when you came home and spent a little time in the shaman shack, did you have a different feeling about that place that's a sacred place for you, and where you meditate and hold ceremony and all of that? Did you feel any difference after your experience with St. Francis?
Well, I always feel really connected and really, really good there. But your question, like overall, I do think I feel a little more connected to the earth, like everywhere, because of that experience. Even on my last forest therapy walk that I did last week, there's something a little bit deeper, a little bit, and I don't know if it's being more focused on my career path too, knowing that this is it.
Yeah.
But definitely something should have an experience like that and not have things shift.
Yes, exactly.
All the truth. I come back different, shifted in some way. Whether it's at New Grange, which I think we're going to do a whole show on Ireland, right? We talked.
Yes.
But when you're in different countries, and you have these processes you roam and integrate it into your life, you are changed. Mm-hmm. You feel changed, I'm sure, from Ireland. I know, because you love it so much.
every single time. And at some point, and I don't know when this is going to happen, but at some point I'm going to be going back to Ireland, meeting up with a couple of friends, of course, but and having they would say having a wee bit of crack, and that is not the drug. Crack spelled completely
what is
different. CRAIC, crack. But having a bit of fun, right? We're going to do that.
Oh,
but
like cracking up.
Where I want to go is back to Sligo, and I want to do the hike to Mabes Cairn.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. So with that in mind, I would like to. I'm going to have to start exercising, getting the stamina up, and making sure that I'm healthy to make that hike. Sorry about the bings. Our sisters are having conversations in Messenger, and I have to have my Messenger open in order my Facebook open to run the show. So those sisters that are in the chat listening to the show, we can hear your bings when you send your messages. How funny is that? I don't know what they're talking about. But I know that they're
yeah, we'll find out later.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see. I want to make sure we made it through the pictures, and I think we did, given the time we have. Oh, here's one that you shared. This is someplace special to you here in Michigan. Well, for you in Michigan.
Oh, yes. This is in Portland, Michigan. This is in the Bogue Flat Recreation Area where I lead a lot of my forest therapy work. It's one of they're called flats, so they're just little ponds. And this is one that's off to the side that's very dark. It's always dark blue or black, it's kind of shady there. So you get it's much darker. There's always turtles here. It's kind of it's not a swimming pond, so nature gets to have it, and the fishermen don't really fish here either because they fish in the bigger lake and they swim in the bigger lake. So it's a little more private and quiet. Mm-hmm. And I love to do my sit spots, like I talked about earlier, just sitting in nature. A lot of times Rosie is with me. Uh-huh. She's a very good quiet in this pond, and my sister Anne knows this pond because the last forest therapy walk her and I did together, I did her and she chose this pond to do her sit spot at. So she knows what I'm talking about. And I've seen kingfishers here. I've seen heron. It's always ducks and.
I've never seen a kingfisher.
All kinds of birds. It's beautiful. Yeah, I saw one just diving right in. It's so fun to watch them. They perch up on and they'll just dive for a fish in the water, go in the water. It's pretty amazing.
Oh. No, I know. I've read about them, but I've never actually seen one hunting and fishing. And, to answer the big question is, why are they king of the fishers? I don't know. A kingfisher. I don't know. There's got to be something to it, though.
Maybe they're the best bird, fishermen.
Yeah.
But,
Anne is saying.
And the thing,
Anne's saying it's just wonderful. Yeah. Oh my gosh. All right. So.
And the thing about the sit spot is you're quiet and you're still and long enough that you see things. You get the gift of the kingfisher.
Yeah.
Because you're observing and you're quiet, Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. You wait, nature comes to you. Nature comes.
I'm trying to get to a picture here, and every time I do that, you kind of wink out a little bit. But I do have a picture here that I'd like to talk a little bit about before we end the show, and it's almost at the top of the hour already. These shows go so dang fast. Many are doing something together that we haven't done together in a few years.
Yeah.
And we're teaching together in September, calling it The Magic of Hogwarts. And this is a class that we're fulfilling a promise we made, 5-6 years ago, or maybe
about 6 years ago.
Yeah, something like that. We had taught a class together at Great Lakes Retreat, and we had called it Hogwarts 101. It was a fun class, and we had a lot of people in that class. And in that class, they wanted us they kept asking questions that would take us much deeper into the information, almost like it was not a 101, but maybe a 301 class.
Right.
And we kept saying, that's another class. We promise we will hold another class. And we never did. And so Minnie and I decided that we wanted to teach together this year. And so this is going to be offered here at Star Nations Academy, where I'm broadcasting from right now, here in Toma,
Right.
Wisconsin.
And it's over the fall equinox,
Yes.
too.
Yes.
Saturday, the 22nd.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a smorgasbord, but on that higher level of all kinds of, I mean, we take the classes from Hogwarts, but we know what we know to teach from them, like divination or the care of magical creatures, and we go into the totem animals there. I'm going to do forest therapy and herbology, and I'll teach you all about the edible plants that are growing in that woods behind Neshi that you can actually make tea and medicine out of. Like I said, nature wants to give you her medicine. It's right out that door. So it's taking everything, to that next level, but we're going to have fun too, because it's that playful, childlike spirit of Hogwarts.
Yes.
So learning is fun, but it's deep. It's going to be deep.
Exactly.
Yeah. Neshi will be doing some shamanic journeying, right?
Yep. We're going to be doing that. And we're actually going to, with the divination piece, we're going to be doing some divination using tile. And I think what I'll do, for those that follow me and watch the morning live stream show, I'll bring you an example of what we're going to be doing. I meant to bring it tonight and I forgot it. And it's a tile, and I'll show you what that's like. I'll do that tomorrow morning. And I also promised a whole bunch of people that we're going to try to fit in making your own medicine pouch, your own that you can wear for your personal medicine. And so we're going to be doing that as well. So it's going to be a very full weekend.
And there'll be like defense against the dark arts, and we'll be doing space clearing. We're both space clearers here, so we'll be sharing all of that information too. So
now, what did we counted up the combined years of experience for space clearing once, and that was a long time ago. But I think it was like, let's see, because I've been space clearing since I was 13. There they go again. Sorry about that, guys. Our sisters are having a chat.
They're talking about it.
Yeah, really. So, 40 years for me, and probably a good, 20 for you? Or 20 or more?
25, yeah.
Yeah. So combined years, 65 years of experience.
My business has been,
of space time. So, yeah. So we're going to have some fun. It's going to be a good weekend. So, and where you can find out about it is at starnations.org. Go to the Academy page and you'll find all the information that you need to know there. Registration and more of the information that Minnie was talking about. So, Minnie, do you have anything else you'd like to share with everybody before we say goodnight?
Well, I just for that class, it's behind Neshi's beautiful face, and you think about what those colors are going to look like, and it's spectacular. I've been there that time of year, and I am really looking forward to connecting with that nature connection that way at that time of year. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it too, because for those people that we made promises to, that you're going to be here for that, and so we'll have a nice week together. We will. So, and my last piece that I would like to add is that I did share the link in the comments about the Cantle of the Sun, or for the Creation, by St. Francis. The link it's just Wikipedia, that you can take a look at that. But I also want to show you this. At Star Nations Publishing Peace magazine, we are so looking, I mean, tell you, our partners at Elf Elm Publishing, they're our layout specialists. They love Minnie, and they helped me lay it out. And this is the promotion for Minnie's new column, Nature Adventures. And the mountain range in the back of her is one that you've all seen before with her, and that's in Colorado. And so we're looking forward to that. You're going to be seeing her new column in the August issue, her premiere for her new columns.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to share that with everybody, and I'm going to bring it
And
up.
the whole it's all about Laverna. The article is the Laverna. So there'll be 10 photos in that article.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Can't wait to see it. So anyway.
Yeah, like that. I look like such my hat on. Yeah.
Well, I think it's a great photo.
Ready to go.
Yeah. So thank you
so
much.
hiking.
Thank you, everybody, for being with us on our very first show for Nature Adventures. We'll be here every month, third Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern for this brand new live stream show.
Yeah.
And we'll be sharing all of our nature adventures with you and everything that goes with it. Yeah. So with that, enjoy the rest of your evening, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.